Hello, I'm Elliot the Purple-Haired Doofus, and welcome back to Ready Player One. Today we are discussing 0012, and it begins with Wade waking up from his nightmare, going through his electronic mail and checking out the news after he had picked up the copper key. He finds that his avatar name is all over the news, because everyone is excited. He also checks out the leaderboard to find out that Artemis had completed her task of living through the War Games movie. That's when he surmises that Artemis is not far behind from him. She has 109,000 points, and he has 110,000 points. He starts checking out the news reports about the Copper Gate about him. Some of the news reports are actually able to interview Ogden Morrow, who was Holiday's partner when building Oasis, and it starts going into the backstory about Ogden Morrow. During the interview, though, Ogden Morrow warns both Parzival and Artemis, because he doesn't know who they actually are, that they shouldn't tell anyone anything. They should just keep on doing what they're doing. He also warns them that the Sixers, or the IOI, will be hunting them down for their knowledge on how they even got the copper key. But as it goes into Morrow's backstory, you find out that Morrow had a wife named Kira who he partnered up with shortly after he distanced himself from the Oasis and Holiday. Apparently there is a falling out. Morrow refuses to talk about it, which is completely understandable. When Morrow's separated himself from the Oasis, he actually sold his stocks to Holiday. When Holiday died, he only left one thing to one person, which was all of his coin-operated arcades to Ogden Morrow. After the separation of Holiday and Morrow, Ogden partners up with his wife to make educational video games, which Wade says he grew up on, which Wade says he used to learn math, thought processes, and reading. I really like the idea of Morrow making educational games. I really like the idea of Morrow actually separating himself from something so big and doing something so small, but doing it to help other people become better. You also find out that Kira was killed in a car accident, which was pretty sad. After Wade is done finishing talking about the backstory, he starts talking to H. He was debating not even calling him, but he eventually picked up the phone because H is his best friend. And what do when you have a huge accomplishment on your shoulders? You talk to your best friend about this accomplishment. For this specific accomplishment, you don't talk about how you got it. You and your best friend both know that you're not ever going to talk about how you got it. H totally makes me laugh, tickles my funny bone, and that kind of makes me worried for him. Every time I find a character that I love, they usually die. Live, H, live, please, live. Please! While they're talking on FaceTime, H actually zooms out and you find out that H is at the Tomb of Horrors. He's about to go after the copper key himself. He deduced it from the fact that Wade can't actually leave the planet, or couldn't leave the planet before because he was flat broke. The copper key had to be somewhere on there, and after looking at the limerick, of course it would be a school. H totally kicks himself because the Tomb of Horrors is within walking distance from the school that he visits every day. Honestly, how many times have you been there? While they're talking about the Tomb of Horrors, H actually brings up the fact that he's worried about some of the people deducing where the Tomb of Horrors is now that Wade is the first person to find it. Because those that are close to Wade know that he can't travel. So that it had to be somewhere, it had to be close to somewhere where he needed to be. Where he could actually access without help. They both come to the same realization that IROC would totally sell them out because IROC is a dude bro. He is only in it for the money. H also bugs Wade about Artemis because he thinks that him and Artemis work together. Wade tells him that that's not the case. But I have a feeling that H is just going to keep on bugging him and bugging him and bugging him. At the end of the chapter, Wade opens up his email from Artemis. I forgot to mention this. When he opened his email, he had like 2 billion messages. Most of them went into a folder where unsolicited mail goes, and he had 2 email messages from approved contacts. One of them was from H, the other one was from Artemis. At the end of the chapter, he opens one from Artemis, who tells him it was nice to meet him. She accepts him as a formidable foe in the search for the Easter egg. Talks about how the Copper Gate was kind of crazy, and how she wished that she could have played the female lead in war games. She'll take what she can get if she can get the copper gator. And then she mentions how the next clue is a head scratcher and signs off. Of course, we gushes a little bit over this email. He reads it a few times. You can tell that he's got a bit of a crush on her. And it kind of reminds me of when I talk to women over emails and how excited I would get when I get emails from women, and how I recently lost a good emailing buddy. And it's just kind of like, my soul. It hurts. Ow. But then he eventually replies, and it's pretty much nice to meet you too. You totally owe me a favor because I helped you out. And that clue is a total cinch. I got it the instant that I read it. He's playing it cool, I guess. And then of course he ups the ante at the end with a PS that says, oh yeah, I'm totally ahead of you, neener, 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 pretty much. He just starts concentrating on that small little poem that I read you in the last chapter. And that's the end of the chapter. That leaves me with a question for you today, which is, it discusses how Halliday left Ogden all of his coin-operated arcade things, and everyone thinks that's so weird because it's the only thing that he willed to anyone. I'm wondering, will there be anything weird in your will when you have it made? I'll admit I haven't actually thought about a will yet, but I have the weekend to figure out if there will be anything weird and what it will be, and I will answer that in the next chapter. But first, I need to answer your question from yesterday, which was if there was any TV show or movie that you could flip sync, which would it be? And I thought about it, and at first I started thinking about all of the weird and wonderful TV shows that I watched, like Doctor Who or Firefly, something wonderful and magical, something where you can go to many, many different worlds and meet many, many different creatures and all this stuff. And then I thought about all of the action and pain that all of those characters went through. I don't think I would want to act that out again. And then I thought of a TV show where the main character was so awesome that he was never actually in any true physical pain. Everything was pretty much in his control no matter what he did. And that was White Collar. It's about a con man who works for the FBI to hunt down criminals. He was so awesome that everything that he did was in his own control. He never did anything out of his own control, and I was like, I would totally be Neil Caffrey. That would rock! I would totally live those years out, time and time and time again. Neil Caffrey is kind of amazing. And he didn't really have to deal, he did kind of have to deal with, like, running away and everything, but he didn't really have to deal with true pain or true... His life was just awesome. And everything really worked out for him. So that's why I really, really would love to play that character, or live in that character, or be that character. If only for like an hour a day. That would be amazing. I feel like I'm rambling enough for right now. I have been the purple-haired doofus, reminding you to watch your Pajama Radius. And I will see you all in the next chapter of Ready Player One. Toodles!